Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli with Little Blue, and he's back for the fourth and final part. He missed out on part three. That's fine. So
Yep.
I just watched them myself. Um, but now he's with me for part four, the last and final part for our review of Star Wars Visions.
Yes.
Yeah, episodes 8 and 9. You can go ahead and say the titles.
It was Lop and Och.
Episode 8.
That was episode 8.
And episode 9.
Akakiri, I think, was the final episode, and it was really
Well, start do it in order, of course.
well. Okay, Lop and Och were both. Both episodes were really tragedies.
Yeah, let's start with episode 8, of course.
Yes, episode 8. Lop and Och were. It was two sisters.
Yeah.
Not of the same mother, but
one of them was adopted.
One of them was adopted in a different species,
like a kind of a furry animal or something,
almost like a
creature.
feline type species.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was set. The planet was very much reminded me of Japan. It was
Obviously.
It was very
anime.
Yeah, Asian, and you had the sliding doors, and you had the robes and everything
Yeah,
just seemed
that's
to
exactly
be.
what it has in this.
But it was really well done. And basically, this planet, they had agreed to let the Empire come in and do manufacturing there to help because they were struggling financially. And
Yes.
the Empire basically promised them prosperity, and what they ended up with was slavery and oppression,
Yep.
which you might expect.
Yeah.
And the adopted daughter was very much against the Empire being there, but the blood daughter, her adopted sister, her sister who had her father had adopted her, was very much for it, and she was the heir. She was the heir to succession of the family, and the family basically they were the ruling party over the planet. And the father was against it, but the daughter went against her father and was pushing for it. And the adopted daughter was given the family heirloom, which turned out to be a lightsaber.
Yes.
That was given to their family by a Jedi.
Uh-huh.
And this Jedi passed away on their planet, but before dying gave them this lightsaber, and it was kept in the family. The successor, the daughter who was bitter after she found out that the lightsaber was given to her adopted sister because she felt she was the heir to succession, which she was, but her father saw that she was turning corrupt and was doing things for the wrong reasons, so gave it to his adopted daughter because he knew that she could see the good and she saw what the Empire was all about.
Oh, yes.
And so they went up against each other, and the adopted daughter and the blood daughter went, two sisters went up against each other.
Yeah.
And the youngest sister, the one who was adopted, she won the duel. She had the lightsaber, but I actually thought she mortally wounded her sister, but she did not. Her sister fell off a ledge and ended up landing on a TIE fighter, which picked her up and carried her aloft. And the last scene you see is her standing there, giving her this look like, this isn't over, and you are not my sister anymore. And left her father wounded and blinded because she put out his one remaining eye. And it was really sad because he said, now I can't look on your face anymore. And so you're really left at the end of this episode. All you see is this TIE fighter hovering, and the daughter, the blood daughter, the successor, standing there looking at both her father, who's laying there after she had wounded him, and her adopted sister standing there looking at her. And so you don't know if she's going to blast them into oblivion or if she's just going to fly away.
Just ends off
just
right there.
ends that way. So you don't really know.
Pretty dark.
It was very dark. And I'm watching this, and it just all of a sudden the credits start, and I'm like, what?
They
And
just left it off.
Back it up a minute.
They just left it off there.
This is a good series. Star Wars Vision
And then-
is a good series. It just gets a little
And then-
dark.
And then episode 9.
Episode 9 was equally dark.
Yeah.
You had a Jedi who showed up, who you could tell was troubled, which is not a good thing for a Jedi to be, because that makes them vulnerable to the dark side.
Yes.
Similar circumstances. This family was pushed out of power, and this woman had taken control, and she was basically a Sith.
Right.
And so they ended up facing off.
Definitely, like, some of the music in this episode was Japanese,
Yes, and
the drums are just, stuff like that.
the young lady who summoned the Jedi, he ends up wounding her inadvertently and killing her in battle, and he, probably loves her, which is forbidden by Jedi. For
Yeah,
Jedi,
it is.
it's forbidden code that you can't love one person. You can love people, but you can't have love for one person, because then it becomes selfish, and then it gets in the way of your ability to use the Force for the good. Which is what happens, because the Sith Lord sees his vulnerability, and you see flashbacks with him and his master, telling him, if you go into this, he says, I can't help you. And he knows that he's unstable, and he chooses to do so anyway. So this Sith Lord tempts him and basically says, together we can bring her back if you become my apprentice.
There was one part in the episode, one moment where you thought that Palpatine was there.
Yeah, his master looked like Palpatine and sounded like Palpatine. I don't know if it was.
I don't think so.
But I don't even know what the timeline is on this story. If it's the era of the Old Republic, or if it's the era, if it's post Skywalker, post Death Star.
Yeah.
Don't really know. And I guess maybe that's not important in the larger scheme of things, because the way this story plays out. But what ends up happening is the Jedi turns to the dark side to save his friend.
Yes.
And when she is reawakened, resurrected, they use life force to bring her back. She's just totally stunned, that her friend is, her friend walks away. He puts his hood on. I thought he was going to turn, and you were going to see the red in his eyes, the red glow in his eyes. You see that a couple of times in anger. And it's mainly in flashbacks. But yeah, he willingly turned to the dark side to save his friend's life.
Yes.
So you have to wonder if maybe at some point he doesn't turn back to the good, because this is what happened to Anakin.
Yes.
And you also have to remember that in the comics, Luke turned to the dark side.
Even, like, say, the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda were telling him not to.
Yeah, but he did it because he wanted to understand the enemy.
Just very briefly,
Yes.
But he did go back to the light side.
Of course he did.
Boy, man, Luke managed to find a way to pull out of the dark side, like from go to that and then go back to the light side.
Yeah, and Anakin was trapped inside that body for 30 years, whatever, in that suit. And I saw this, that this is kind of a sidebar.
Anakin
here.
was? Oh, yes, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Well, he was no longer Anakin. It was now Darth Vader in person, Anakin trapped in the body of Vader. Something, if you get what I'm saying. So.
A Star Wars fan pointed this out.
For 30 years, Anakin was gone and Vader was present.
Right. So
there you go.
So a Star Wars fan pointed this out. I read this on a post on Facebook, on one of my Star Wars Facebook fan sites.
All right.
They said that if you watch closely in Revenge of the Sith, that as Anakin is lying there and he's put back together, and he's badly burned, and they put him back together.
Right.
And just before that helmet comes down, you can hear his heartbeat.
Oh yeah,
But as soon as that helmet goes on and thump, and seals in place, the heartbeat stops, and this the sound of his breathing starts, and they said that signifies the moment that Anakin died and Darth Vader was born.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
I like that.
When the breathing happens, that's
Yeah.
when it concurred. It was detected that Anakin was dead.
Right, now this is something that
Well,
you would
because
probably pick up on.
because it's Vader's first breathing.
Right, but
His first breath.
well, let me finish.
was just
As I said,
throwing that
if
out.
if you look at it, if you watch this and you just as you're watching the movie, you would pick up on this subconsciously. But to have somebody point it out, then it's more like, oh yeah, that's right, that does happen. So back to this episode.
Okay. Like to
This Jedi turns to the dark side.
no,
And
almost
literally walks away with his new master,
Yeah.
leaving his friend there, whom he had just saved her life.
literally getting to the end of the episode.
Yes, and he walks away. He puts his hood up. That's the end of the episode.
And the way the music plays, like,
And you're sitting there thinking,
wow,
what just happened?
it really ended off there.
Was
Are you
it
kidding me?
The episode before that,
What a way
Lop
for
and,
the- what a way
and
for the-
Ock. I mean, it was like,
What a way for the last two episodes to end off with a dark ending.
Oh,
and
really?
and what you wouldn't expect.
but I loved it because it was unconventional Star Wars.
Yeah.
It didn't have this happy ending,
No.
It had, even with Empire Strikes Back, there was, those odd episodes where there's a darkness that's left. There is still hope left, but you really had no hope on either of these episodes. There was no hope left.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's what I really I liked about it. It was intriguing, and I'm not into bad endings. But this was enough thinking that maybe the writers are going to revisit this at some point.
Probably so. I mean, from what I heard, there are plans for a season 2. So
Well,
we'll see we'll see what they'll have in stored.
It'd be nice if season 2 would be follow-ups to the first stories.
We'll see. We'll see.
So I really got into these last two episodes.
Yep, and for them being the last 2 episodes of season 1 for sure.
Yes.
And how do we rate the first season? Like with the show.
The first season, I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
I'm giving it 8. So
Okay.
8 out of 10 stars.
Yeah, I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
All right, so there you go. 8 out of 10 stars, and 4 stars for
4.5.
4.5 stars for
Almost
him.
5.
For him, and
So it would be, if I were on a scale of 1 to 10, it would be a 9.
right.
Really a 9.5.
All right. So that's gonna do it. So that's our final, and that's our fourth part and final review of Star Wars Visions, and which being season 1. And now that our review of Star Wars Visions has officially, in conclusion, we know what the next Star Wars show is going to be that we'll be reviewing.
And that is?
The Book of Boba Fett.
Of course.
Yes, that's the next one.
Yes.
It'll be exciting. And literally, it's coming after Christmas.
Yes.
A week after Christmas.
Yes.
And our review, I checked, our review of the Book of Boba Fett will not start until somewhere in the beginning of January. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. I do not know because most likely, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, but definitely for sure, like our review of the Book of Boba Fett will be, literally when next year arrives. So there you go. And Star Wars Visions being the last Star Wars show for us to review and for this year, and you guys let us know what you thought of this 4-part review of Star Wars Visions and what you think of the show. Leave a comment, give this a like, and any last words?
May the Force be with you.
Yep, he says that for me. We hope you enjoyed our 4th and final part, review of Star Wars Visions. More reviews coming your way. Keep looking forward. They're going to be awesome. And we'll see you guys in the next video / review. And until the Book of Boba Fett, take care, peace out, and may the Force be with you.
Live long and prosper.
Ha ha ha.